Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and welcome back to Week 9 of the WBE VGC Draft League. I'm the coach of the Melbourne Rotoms, and this week we're going up against ZoeTwoDots, the coach of the Aussie Gliders. As always, I'll do a quick recap of the standings, talk about the matchup and the team I'm going to be bringing, and then get into the actual battle. So if you're only interested in the battle, check out the timestamp linked in the description below. Thank you as always for supporting the Melbourne Rotoms and the entire WBE VGC Draft League. We are nearing the end of the regular season. 10 weeks really goes by pretty quickly, so appreciate everyone that has continued to come out and watch these videos. I have a lot of fun making them, and as you can see, I put in a lot of effort to try to make them as educational as possible. So hope you all have been enjoying it. If you do, please share support by leaving a like in the video. I'd really appreciate it. This week, we're up against Zoe, as I mentioned, who is the coach of the Aussie Gliders. We are currently still ranked number 1 in the regular season, but with 2 weeks left, there's still a lot of room for the standings to shift. With a 10-week regular season, anything can really happen, and every game really matters, so the margins are really, really razor thin, which makes it pretty exciting. But one thing that is good is that after winning last week, we have actually mathematically secured a spot in the playoffs. There's no way we can miss out on being in the top 8 now, so even if we lose this week and next week, we will still be guaranteed to move on. So that's exciting. That was one of the first goals I had when joining this league. There are currently 3 teams that have only lost once. That's myself, Duncan, and Wolfie. Wolfie's record from last week was not included, and so he's actually 7-1 with the +9 differential. So, you know, the battle for the top right now is very, very close, as is pretty much throughout all the different kind of sections in terms of the standings. And so, you know, single loss, 0-2 loss can make you jump down like 3-4 spots. And so, yeah, that's why I just wanted to secure the playoff position earlier on, so I didn't have to worry in these last couple of weeks. But obviously, we'd still like to win in these next 2 weeks, try to learn as much as possible, improve our team building, and try to incorporate some new strategies and new Pokemon. Just, you know, understand how some of the newer Pokemon we got from free agency can be incorporated onto our team. Zoe, on the other hand, currently is 1-7, but as always, you really can't underestimate anybody in Draft League. We went up against Poise last week, and his record was 1-6 when we played him, but he gave us probably the toughest time we've had throughout the course of the regular season. And so, you know, you always have to show your opponent's respect, you know, come prepared. And because Pokemon can sometimes be a matchup-based game, you know, make sure that you have answers against their biggest threats. And so this is, I think, Zoe's like first couple of weeks or months playing VGC, and she's been improving a lot throughout the course of the league, so I'm excited to go up against her. She is actually a Pokemon Go YouTuber, so go check her out. She's linked in the description below, and yeah, I'm excited to play against her. So, you know, let's quickly take a look at the matchup. One thing that people gave me feedback on is that they like still seeing the statistics on everything, so I'll talk about this just a little bit before getting into the actual matchup. I still have the graphic that I've made previously. From this, you can just see what Pokemon both of us have been bringing more often than not, and how those Pokemon typically do in terms of KOs and deaths. And so here, as you can see, we've still been playing a very top-heavy draft, but we incorporated Noivern recently. Noivern's been excellent for us, honestly, and I've really, really enjoyed having it. I think it's been a great addition to the team, and I definitely, you know, liked using Torracat, but I think Noivern has been a lot better for us. So excited to have that. We haven't really gotten to feature Decidueye, Stoutland, Bronzor, or Seaking yet. I think Decidueye, Stoutland are actually very easy to incorporate onto a lot of our teams. Bronzor and Seaking are a lot more situational, so it's very dependent on the matchup. That being said, you know, maybe they'll come out in the subsequent weeks. You know, Primarina and Excadrill are still kind of leading the way for our team in terms of just the biggest Pokemon that Dynamax and pick up KOs. Excadrill kind of had a slow start to the regular season. We didn't bring it very much, even though, you know, I would have it on my teams, but I wouldn't bring it into the games. But in more recent weeks, it's been super, super dominant, and it's finally showing its true potential. That's one of the main reasons I drafted it. This Pokemon is just so flexible, so many different ways you can run it, and can really be bulky once you give yourself Max Quake or Max Steel Spike boosts as well. From Zoe's end, Zoe's team is pretty interesting. She's actually brought every Pokemon once, at least once, throughout the course of the season. As you can see, she prioritizes Pokemon like Torkoal, the Gastrodon, the Togedemaru, and the Appletun, but everything has come out at some point throughout the season. And so, you know, when it comes to preparing for this, like, I don't want to leave any Pokemon kind of untouched, and I want to consider everything. Her team, you know, revolves a little bit around Sun. Obviously, Torkoal enables the Sun for Chandelure, Lilligant, Shiftry, all of those can take advantage of it, but overall, it's kind of like a bunch of Pokemon that are either pretty fast but relatively frail, or a bunch of Pokemon that are pretty slow and pretty bulky. So you've kind of got, you know, both ends of the spectrum. So that's it in terms of the statistics. Let's actually take a look at the matchup this week. So looking at the matchup, as always, I've split it into my buckets and her buckets in terms of what I have to bring, Pokemon that I thought about bringing, and Pokemon I'm not going to be bringing. I changed the title of that second bucket just because, yeah, it's kind of in the past tense. I've already decided what Pokemon I'm going to be bringing, so these are Pokemon I thought about. And then from Zoe's end, obviously, Pokemon I expect to see, Pokemon that I think are likely, and then Pokemon that I think are unlikely to come. So let's start off with our side. As you can see, Zoe's team is very weather-based, especially with the Torkoal. I think Torkoal is definitely going to be coming out from her end. And so, naturally, it makes a lot of sense to bring Excadrill and Gigalith. I think Excadrill is such a good sweeper against her team this week because it's able to hit the majority of Pokemon for super effective damage, and if they don't have a Focus Sash, we can just pick up a one-hit KO on most of them. So, Pokemon like Torkoal, Togedemaru, Mimikyu, Chandelure, these are all Pokemon that are super Excadrill weak. Excadrill also isn't threatened that much this week because, you know, you have two special attackers in Gastrodon and Torkoal, but if we Dynamax Excadrill and get a Max Quake, that alone already just makes it a lot bulkier. So I really like Excadrill this week. I think Gigalith is clearly a must-bring in combination with it. And Whimsicott Primarina come out pretty much every week for us, and I think they're both really good here as well. Primarina is super good, especially because if I get rid of the Gastrodon, Primarina can just sweep through, and even Hyper Voices alone will do a lot of damage. I'm coming into this matchup expecting to Dynamax Excadrill, but I'm also thinking Primarina could be a max option, especially because, you know, I can run pretty diverse move pool, water type attacks, fairy, ice, and grass, for example. So that actually covers pretty much everything that she has, and we can hit everything for neutral or super effective damage. Whimsicott this week I think is actually a little bit less effective, but we could still bring it out. The reason why I think it's a little bit less effective is because in previous weeks we prioritized setting up this Tailwind to guarantee that we outspeed, but Zoe's team is actually already pretty slow for the most part. The only way she outspeeds us is either with Togedemaru or with a bunch of her Pokemon under the sun. And so, because I have a lot of ways to control the weather and have good speed control on my team, I'm not that worried actually about prioritizing Tailwind, and so Whimsicott's not as important, although I think it's still really good. When it comes to Pokemon that I gave some consideration, it was between Decidueye, Noivern, and Stoutland. The reason I wanted to bring Decidueye, despite my opponent having two fire types, is because Decidueye is just amazing against Gastrodon. Obviously, I'm expecting Gastrodon to have Rindo Berry this week, but even with the Rindo Berry, Decidueye can 2-hit KO with a grass type attack against Dynamax Gastrodon. That's just super impressive, and I feel like because Gastrodon is such a big threat to us this week, Decidueye kind of needs to come out, at least in Team Preview, to maybe dissuade her from bringing the Gastrodon a little bit. And then the other two Pokemon I kind of gave some thought were Noivern and Stoutland. Noivern's really interesting here, right? It's able to actually do pretty consistent damage, and it's actually a decent Dynamax threat as well, because I can max Airstream, I can max Wormwind, I can even throw in, like, Flamethrower, you know, to max Flare into Togedemaru, for example. And so it gets pretty good coverage here, and the more I thought about it, the more I was like, I actually really like Noivern because one potential combination I could go with is Noivern plus Excadrill, and I can U-turn out on turn 1. Noivern outspeeds her entire team, so the only way you outspeed Noivern is if you have your Sun enabled. If you have Sun enabled, that means you either have Torkoal out on the field immediately or you're switching into Torkoal. By going for a U-turn with Noivern, it almost guarantees that we'll have Stand Up after turn 1. It's also because, like, the Pokemon that outspeed Noivern on our team under Sun can't really pick up a one-hit KO against it. And so the more I thought about it, the more I was like, okay, Noivern's obviously great just for Frisk alone, but I can also pull some cool plays with U-turn out here and allow me to have guaranteed weather control. So that made a lot of sense in my head. Last Pokemon was Stoutland. Yeah, Stoutland I was just thinking about because I was like, oh, Gigalith is coming out this week. What are some ways I can take advantage of Stoutland? You know, you could go for, like, Surf Weakness Policy stuff here. Stoutland obviously is after you as well. But to me, I wanted to have really good answers against Gastrodon outside of my must-bring bucket. And so the more I thought about it, the more I was like, Stoutland would be kind of fun here, but I feel like there's not much of a reason to bring it over Decidueye and the Noivern. And obviously the bottom 4 Pokemon I just didn't give very much consideration. They didn't do very much damage this week and were either too frail or, you know, kind of would be just fodder for us. So felt like we could get a lot more mileage out of the Pokemon that I mentioned earlier. From Zoe's end, I think Torkoal and Gastrodon are Pokemon that absolutely are going to come out this week. And I think, like, not only is she going to have them on her team, but she's going to bring them out to the battles as well. And then for the rest of the team, it's kind of interesting. I think Lilligant's pretty good. It's probably the best, you know, chlorophyll user in this matchup, just because the Shiftry has to worry about, like, Whimsicott and the Primarina. Lilligant at least can go for Sleep Powders immediately, which I think can be pretty scary. And so I expect to see that as a partner with Torkoal. And then I actually expect to see the G-Max Appleton as well. I feel like overall it's a really bulky Pokemon. If you throw an Assault Vest onto that, it can tank a lot of my attacks. And one way you could kind of play from her perspective is you stall out my Dynamax using a really bulky Appleton and then go from there. From Pokemon I think are likely to come, Togedemaru and Shiftry fall under that bucket because they both get access to Fake Out. Fake Out's pretty disruptive against our team, especially against Whimsicott. Shiftry can obviously take advantage of the Sun as well, and Togedemaru can, you know, attack into the Primarina for a really solid amount of damage. And then you've got Mimikyu and Chandelure, both which are pretty interesting options. You know, it's difficult to get a one-hit KO onto either. Chandelures often carry Focus Sash, and Mimikyu obviously has Disguise, and so with those, often you have to double target it to actually guarantee a KO. And so, you know, they can offer some decent offense here, as well as potential speed control through Trick Room. And finally, from Pokemon that I think are unlikely to come, I've got Mime Jr., the Sliggoo, and the Galvantula. The first two I just feel like don't do anything in this matchup. Galvantula is interesting because it is pretty fast. It's actually like her fastest option if she doesn't have the Sun Up. But I just feel like it doesn't do very much, especially into Excadrill, which she's probably assuming I'm going to prioritize, which I am. Like, this week, I think you could probably predict, if you're from her end, what Pokemon I'm going to be bringing, but the thing is that these Pokemon are just so good and match up so well against her that I feel like even just playing as standard as possible works here. And I obviously want some tricks up my sleeve, and so I can kind of incorporate those in the team building process. So, yeah, that's kind of how I am thinking about the matchup, and let's get into the actual team now. As for the team that I'll be bringing this week, first of all, I want to start off with Noivern. I earlier mentioned that I didn't necessarily have Noivern pinned down to bring immediately, but the more I thought about it, the more I really like the idea of a Noivern and an Excadrill lead. So the idea behind Noivern and Excadrill is that I can U-turn out into Gigalith. If you lead Torkoal immediately, then I can just hard switch into Gigalith immediately to have guaranteed weather control, and if you don't have the Torkoal out and you hard switch out turn one, I can just U-turn, go out into Gigalith, and then have Excadrill Dynamax and just be super, super powerful. So U-turn was the move that I wanted to play around. This actually does really solid damage into some Pokemon like Lilligant and the Shiftry as well, while also breaking a potential Focus Sash. So the rest of the moves are self-explanatory. I want Shadow Ball this week, specifically for the Chandelure and the Mimikyu, but I can also max Phantasm with this, so one play I can make is just like Dynamax Noivern, Phantasm, and then just spam Earthquake or Iron Head and get a lot of damage off. So yeah. I am running Air Slash this week over Hurricane. Lots of people last week were like, why would you run Hurricane? Like, it's so unreliable. And the main reason last week was because I wanted increased damage output out of Max Airstream. It becomes base 140 as opposed to base 130. But this week, I don't think that we need that increased damage output from the Noivern. And I think that Air Slash alone actually is really reliable against a lot of Zoe's Pokemon as well. So opting for Air Slash this week. Standard Life Orb Frisk, and I am max special attack with enough speed investment to outspeed the fastest Pokemon on your team before any speed control, which is Galvantula, and then the rest is just dumped into HP. Next Pokemon is the Assault Vest Excadrill that I've been talking about. I feel like Excadrill alone is really good into this matchup, and Assault Vest especially is phenomenal here because her Pokemon are just very, very heavy special attackers. If you look at the biggest threats, I think it's Pokemon like Torkoal or the Gastrodon. Gastrodon's the number one threat. Torkoal's also up there, Chandelure as well. And so with Excadrill, you know, we're able to get special defense boosts with Max Quake, and with the Assault Vest, we basically take attacks way better than, you know, she would probably anticipate. And so I really like AV Excadrill this week specifically because I don't need something like a Life Orb. We already do so much damage naturally with Excadrill, and it's able to hit almost her entire team for super effective damage as well. So enough speed investment here to outspeed it with Shiftry, I believe, max attack, and just a little bit in HP. And I'll call out the X-Scissor this week as well. X-Scissor is specifically used so that I can beat the Shiftry, just because, you know, I'm not too familiar with Shiftry, and I feel like having a way to just eliminate it immediately and one-shot it is really nice. And the other value of X-Scissor is that it also turns into max Flutterby, and because her team is so specially oriented, I can decrease the special attack on her Pokemon, which I think is super, super good for us here. So, you know, obviously I could have run Rock Slide, but I was like, I feel like I have a pretty good way to control the weather, just with Noivern switching to Excadrill and Gigalith being as slow as it is, so I'm not actually that worried about maintaining weather control because it's also very easy for us to just knock out Torkoal with all of the Pokemon that I'm planning on bringing. So it's going to be tough for her to like switch out and back in, and I don't anticipate her maxing something like in Max Flare Us very easily, so I think it will actually be pretty easy to maintain the Sandstorm throughout the course of the game. Next Pokemon is Primarina. Primarina's been really interesting for us in recent weeks because we've gone up against a lot of teams with very strong Grass-type Pokemon. You know, it was Rillaboom last week, Thwackey the week before, and now we are up against a bunch of Grass-type Pokemon, Lilligant, Appleton, and the Shiftry. And so, because of that, like, I never feel like it's a great Pokemon to Dynamax just because I don't like the 1v1 against the opposing grass types. But I feel like Rindoberry covers the grass weakness a little bit, and it also allows me to just do a good amount of damage, and so I don't have to Dynamax the Primarina. That's kind of the plan. I don't really want to max Primarina because Noivern and Excadrill are really good max options this week, but, you know, by carrying Rindo Berry and throwing Hydro Cannon onto this moveset, I still have the option to Dynamax, which I think is always really valuable. I like playing flexible in this league, right? It's really important to get information out of your opponent and then adapt based off all of their sets. And so I don't want to just hard commit to saying I'm going to Dynamax Noivern or X-Control 100% of the time, because you really want to have different options, both in this draft league and in just VGC in general, and especially in this draft league where, you know, you get a pretty good feel of your opponent's team even before going into it, and then once you play a game you get so much information. So yeah, the moveset here, like obviously I could have Protect because I'm not running something like Assault Vest, but I don't think I really need Protect on Primarina this week. I'd rather just have as much offense as possible. Hyper Voice, Moonblast are self-explanatory. Energy Ball here to deal with Gastrodon. I need as much firepower against Gastrodon as possible, and then Hydro Cannon just to make this a good Dynamax option potentially. So max special attack, enough speed investment to outspeed everything on the opposing team before the speed control, so outspeeds Galvantula under Tailwind, and then the rest just dumped into HP. Now, Galvantula I think is a little bit scary for Primarina, but I really don't expect it to come out. Like, I was thinking, maybe I want to run, like, the Wakam but I was like, there's so many Grass-type threats from her team. I think Rindo is just such good insurance, so I feel more comfortable with that. Fourth Pokemon is Gigalith. Gigalith's been pretty interesting. It doesn't really carry our games, but it's able to do some pretty solid damage, and as you've seen, I've really loved running Explosion in recent weeks, and so I am, contemplating using it once again here because I don't have much to really hit Gastrodon with, but if I have a weakness policy and Explosion, she shouldn't be able to one-shot me if the sand is up. You'd activate the policy, and then Gigalith can just get an Explosion off and kind of just do a ton of damage even to Dynamax Gastrodon. I feel like a lot of our opponents recently have been attacking into Gigalith, and I've often run like Focus Sash in more recent weeks just to ensure that I get the Explosion off. This week, I don't even think Gigalith is that important offensively to stopping my opponent because it's all about the Excadrill, but I like having weakness policy kind of as insurance here. Policy doesn't really make sense on anything else on this team this week, and just really good damage with Explosion, even pre-weakness policy. I thought about Normal Gem as well, which would be pretty interesting, but I really like Policy this week because it also just enables us to do more damage with Rock Slide on Stomping Tantrum. Pretty self-explanatory spread here. The one thing I'll call out is that I'm not running min speed, and instead I have 31 speed IV and actually a little bit of speed investment. This is just so that in the off chance she decides to speed creep with Torkoal, we guarantee outspeed. The thing is that Gigalith matches up really well into Torkoal, even if Torkoal is like under Trick Room. If we have the sand up, Torkoal can't do anything against Gigalith other than maybe Yawn or Body Press. If you Body Press, you activate a policy, we get Rock Slide off, so I don't need to outspeed Torkoal under Trick Room. Like, I'm fine attacking second against Torkoal if Trick Room does go up. So I like the idea of just knowing with this that I will probably outspeed Torkoal outside of Trick Room. That gives me good insurance, and yeah, that's something I would prefer this week. Whimsicott has always come out for us. It's been a staple. I think this week it's probably a little bit less valuable because, like I said, I don't need to prioritize Tailwind as much. That being said, I think Whimsicott's still a good option. Tailwind and Protect are self-explanatory. Protect, obviously, she's got multiple Fake-Out users, so this allows me to lead Whimsicott and safely protect turn 1 to guarantee Tailwind turn 2. As for the attacks, I'm not running Moonblast this week. I'm running Dazzling Gleam, and that's for a couple of reasons. Zoe's team has a lot of Pokemon that are relatively frail, but can survive one big attack because of their abilities. For example, Sturdy on the Togedemaru, Disguise on the Mimikyu, and a potential Focus Sash on something like Chandelure, Shiftry, or the Lilligant. So Gleam is able to chip away at that, which actually, afterwards, Excadrill can pretty much one-shot all the Pokemon I just mentioned once Dynamaxed. And so, not only is it able to break a Disguise, break a Focus Sash, break the Sturdy, and let Excadrill finish it off, it's also able to chip away a little bit at the opposing Pokemon next to the Pokemon we're aggressively targeting. Moonblast, I feel like, doesn't feel super essential this week. The only value I'd really get from it is increased damage against the Gmax Appleton, but otherwise I feel like Dazzling Gleam is just a better option. So yeah, max special attack, enough speed to outspeed the Pokemon I mentioned earlier in Galvantula, which is the fastest thing on her team, pre-speed control, and then rest in HP. And the last one's really interesting. So I didn't know how I could really incorporate Decidueye this week, so it took me a while to come up with this set. I don't know if it's the best set, but it made the most sense to me. So I was like, okay, if I want to bring Decidueye, how do I incorporate it? Because there are a lot of Pokemon on our team that hit it for super effective damage, right? You've got Mimikyu, you've got Chandelure, you've got Torkoal, you've got potential Ice-type attacks from something like Gastrodon as well. So a lot of things that hit it for super effective damage, but I already have the Assault Vest, and Assault Vest is a must-bring on the Excadrill, so I was like, maybe we just go full offense with a Type Resist Berry. One of the cool things about the Decidueye this week is that its base speed is pretty good, and with Zoe's team being either as slow or as fast as it does, I don't need any speed investment because under Tailwind, even with no speed investment, I still outspeed everything. And even under pre-Tailwind, like the things that are outspeeding me aren't that scary because the rest of my team should check it. So that allows me to just go max HP, max attack. And the item I ultimately decided on was the Akaberry, just because I could see a situation where Decidueye is against like Gastrodon and Torkoal. Torkoal obviously threatens me with a Heat Wave or Eruption, but with the Akaberry and max HP, we should survive an attack, and then I can target the Gastrodon next to it. For the moveset, I just want full offense. You know, the Decidueye, let's say, Jump Park used that we were using on Road to Ranked had Sword Stance, but Skitter Smack I thought was a really interesting option. I've never really used this before, but as you can see, has a 100% chance to lower the target special attack by 1, and it's a bug type attack too, so, you know, another max Flutterby option, while also gives me a way to hit Shiftry for super effective damage. So, you know, I don't think it'll come out, but I, you know, could have run Protect, I could have run Sword Stance, but I was like, I think it's going to be really difficult to Sword Stance here. I don't find that much value from Protect either, so let's go with the fun move in Skitter Smack. I don't think it'll come out, but in the off chance that it does, that would be pretty exciting. So, yeah, that's it for the team breakdown. Let's get into the battle. Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and welcome back to week 9 of the WBE. I'm the coach of the Melbourne Rotoms, and this week we're going up against ZoeTwoDots, the coach of the Aussie Gliders. Zoe is super awesome. She actually comes to us from the Pokemon Go community, so it's really awesome to have her in this league, and we are nearing the end of the regular season. After last week's victory, we are secured a spot in the playoffs, so at this point, it's basically playing for seeding. But I think Zoe definitely has a bunch of really scary Pokemon, and she's pretty much gone with, I think, the strongest options on her team. I was maybe expecting Shiftry, and actually there's no Appleton, which I was kind of prepared for as well. So as you'll notice, she doesn't really have great ground resists other than Lilligant. My initial strategy was to just lead Noivern and Excadrill, and pivot out into Gigalith and Primarina in the back. So I don't see much reason to deviate from the original plan here. I think Noivern as always gives me really good information in terms of what item she's running. Decidueye is probably not going to come out in this game, but I wanted to bring it this week just to have to scare against the Gastrodon, but in case we get like completely wrecked, we might have to bring the Decidueye. I do have the Akaberry, so it covers for the 2 fire types, and it's got pretty good coverage in this matchup. And Whimsicott, like, could work as a lead here, but I feel like with Noivern and Excadrill, I have a lot of options. If she doesn't lead with Sun, I can just U-turn into Excadrill, U-turn into Gigalith and start sweeping with Excadrill, which is Assault Vest, which I think does really well into this week. I'm expecting her to be Air Balloon on the Togedemaru. So, like, if she is Air Balloon, one play I can make is U-turn into Togedemaru to break the balloon, bring in the Gigalith, and just knock out Togedemaru, and outspeed it as well. So, let's see. Honestly, I was pretty nervous about Galvantula, Shiftry, and Appleton, so the fact that none of those came out is a little bit surprising to me. But yeah, should be a fun one. Thanks as always for supporting the Melbourne Rotoms. Go check out Zoe. Her channel is linked in the description below, and hope everyone's been enjoying the WBE VGC League. It's going to be Togedemaru and Mimikyu. Okay. I mean, I get some good information here in terms of items immediately, so I'm expecting Air Balloon, but let's see. Lychee Berry. Ooh. And Mentorb. Okay. So, Lychee Berry, that is not what I would have expected, like, at all. I mean, I honestly want to just U-turn here and, like, break the Disguise and then just KO Mimikyu with a Max Steel Spike. Yeah, Lychee is so unexpected here, but neither of these items are really too scary here. Okay. Oh, she might just fake out Noivern, actually. I didn't even think about that option. And set up Trick Room, potentially? Ooh, that could actually be a really big problem. Yeah. To get around the Trick Room play, I could have Dynamax Noivern and Phantasm EQ'd here. That might have been better. Like, I made this play forgetting that Togedemaru would even try to fake out. Yeah. Okay. So not the best start here. If I'm gonna lead the same thing in a future game, I'm just gonna go for yeah, Dynamax Noivern. So that was a nice play. I could have obviously just gone, yeah, Phantasm EQ there, or Phantasm Iron Head even, so I think that probably would have been better. She's been Dynamaxing Noivern a lot, or sorry, Togedemaru a lot, but I guess it doesn't really make any sense in this matchup. And Trick Room does go up, so she's actually in a pretty favorable position right now. However, Togedemaru is kind of in an odd spot. And I've got Assault Vest. The thing is that she's probably going to Dynamax that Gastrodon in the back. She's probably going to play rough into Mimikyu here. I don't want to switch out necessarily. So I actually think I'm just going to launch an Air Slash here into the Mimikyu. We do have the defense boost, so Mimikyu shouldn't be able to KO us. And I'm just going to go for a Quake onto the Togedemaru. Yeah, the Trick Room was relatively obvious. I like kind of tunnel vision here a little bit, because like she Dynamaxes Togedemaru so frequently, but that makes no sense in front of an Excadrill. So if I wanted to deny the Trick Room, I could have just gone Phantasm, Iron Head. That should KO Mimikyu, and we'd probably just carry the momentum over from that and take over the game. Now that the speed is not in our favor, things get a little tougher. I think it's still okay, though, but what's scary now is the potential Dynamax Gastrodon from her end. Okay, so Mimikyu actually switches out, so whatever's coming in is eating up a lot of free damage, and it's actually going to be Gastro coming in, which I don't mind. Like, by switching it out right now, you let me get a ton of free damage off immediately. I mean, this is the downside of her Togedemaru. It's going to be sturdy, right? Yeah. The downside of Togedemaru being relatively fast means I do get to go, first before it moves. And since I am Assault Vest Excadrill, like, this isn't terrible, but the thing is, how much damage can I really do? And there's the Lychee Berry. Really interesting. Okay. Just gonna go for a Zing Zap. That's fine. Yeah, Noivern takes that. And we get an Air Slash off, which is nice. It's gonna be a fair amount of damage. Yeah, that's almost like 50%, honestly, so that's huge. I only have one more turn of Dynamax, though, which is part of the problem right now in Excadrill's end. Like, I could pretty easily just Draco Meteor into the Gastrodon, and Quake into Togedemaru. I could actually Flutterby here as well. Decrease Gastro's special attack. That could be pretty interesting because I've got Primarina in the back. And Gigalith. And then they would activate a Policy potentially. Alternatively, if I can just target the Gastrodon. I mean, Gastrodon's going to max here. She might end up just like Quaking or Geysering into Excadrill. So I think launching a Draco here in a Gastro is fine. And yeah, I'm actually going to go for the Flutterby here. Because I think Gastro's going to max, and at -1 special attack, it just does significantly less damage to everything on my team. So I had X-Scissor this week to cover for Shiftry. Yeah, I think this would have been a very straightforward matchup if I just maxed Noivern turn 1. So going into a potential, well, not a potential game 2, obviously we'll have a game 2. That's an option I should be considering. But the thing, like, the fact that Gastrodon switched in and took all that damage is pretty favorable for us here. Okay, so she's actually going to commit the max Quake, which I don't mind because we have the Assault Vest. So we take that decently. We get the special attack drop on Gastrodon, so it's not going to be doing as much damage. And I get a Draco Meteor off against the Gastro as well. The only problem is I didn't really run Protect on too many Pokemon this week, or really anything, so stalling out Dynamax is more difficult here. But I've got a Primarina in the back, which matches up decently. I've got Energy Ball for the Gastro as well. I think Gastro is probably going to be Rindo Berry this week. That would make the most sense to me. Okay, Draco Meteor does connect and almost picks up the knockout. Ooh, we get a crit there, which is definitely fortunate. Doesn't KO, though. I mean, I think if that KO'd, would have been instantly over. I think she's still in it because of the non-KO, but obviously very fortunate to even get a crit there in the first place. So, let's see. I'm at +1 Spadef. I have Assault Vest. She's at -1 special attack. Torkoal is the last one, and I have Gigalith in the back. Gigalith Primarina, which is pretty solid to have out right now. Oh, it's Air Balloon on the Torkoal. That's interesting. Yeah, this is part of the problem. I don't have Protect on anything right now. But maybe that's okay. Because if you knock out both Pokemon, then I just get Gigalith in for free, and I can just Rock Slide Hyper Voice. I don't want to switch in Gigalith and take unnecessary damage here, I think. Yeah, I'd rather change the weather. So let's just Draco into Gastrodon and EQ. We'll probably lose both Pokemon here, but then we'll get 2 free switch-ins. She had a good game plan here against me. I like, didn't really think Trick Room would be that scary, and I kind of underestimated it. I mean, Trick Room in general is pretty solid against our team. I was actually originally thinking of running Iron Ball and Gigalith, which could have been interesting, but I actually think I'd rather not have the Iron Ball right now. Ooh, Excadrill actually dodges that. Does that make a difference? If you don't KO the Noivern, maybe it does. Oh, that's a huge dodge then. Because she's only going to get 1 KO here. I definitely got really lucky in this game. Like, and Excadrill survives too. Jeez. AV Excadrill was really good. But I actually feel like she definitely... Okay, so obviously it doesn't affect her, but that's fine, because like now Primarina should close out this game. I think she played better than I did in this game. Like, and without the crit and without the miss there, I actually think it's still definitely winnable on our end. Because Gigalith and Primarina is super good into her team here in the late game. But I still feel like she had a better game plan and executed it better. So props to her, honestly. Like, really well done. Yeah, so our Noivern faints here, but now I get Gigalith in, and Primarina should close out this one because I changed the weather. Yeah. RNG is obviously part of Pokemon, but I really do think she played better, and so it's like, even though we're in a favorable position, I definitely need to adjust my game plan because turn 1 did not go well for us at all. Like, I figured I'd be okay even if her Trick Room went up. What was big was her just switching out Gastrodon instead of sacrificing the Mimikyu. But a Self-S Excadrill was crazy clutch here for us, too. Because, yeah, Heat Wave actually not knocking out the Noivern last turn would have meant Draco would have just KO'd the Gastrodon anyway. So then I just have Gigalith Primarina against Torkoal Mimikyu. To be honest, I actually would have preferred Excadrill to have fainted here, I think. I'm just going to Rock Slide, and... Are we at... We're not even at -1 attack now. But Primarina should close out this one, especially because I've got the Rindo Berry on it. So I'm just going to Iron Head Rock Slide here, and then Primarina should just be able to come in and click Hyper Voice and win. Torkoal might be Body Press, but if she Body Presses, that actually procs my Weakness Policy, and it would just end the game sooner. I think the Trick Room game plan here was really good, though, on her end. Ooh, Scorching Sands, okay. Into Excadrill, though. So Gigalith will move now. Yeah, I'm wondering, like, if I should have brought Iron Ball. Gigalith. I don't really regret it, though, because in the end, I actually speed crept my Gigalith to make sure I outspeed Torkoal outside of Trick Room. She's got Wood Hammer, which isn't surprising, but that's also one of the many reasons I wanted Rindo Berry this week on Primarina, in addition to the Shift Tree and the Lilligant. Yeah, so Mimikyu takes a lot of recoil there. So if I didn't get the crit, what happened in this game? I got a crit, I got a dodge, and Excadrill had that clutch 1 HP survival. I think Excadrill fainting doesn't really matter, but the initial crit on Gastrodon definitely did, because it just, you know, makes it a lot easier to KO it. So, especially because she had the special defense boost there. I'm guessing she had the Rindo Berry. I mean, I teched in Energy Ball this week on Primarina to deal with it specifically. Yeah. Hopefully I don't reveal the Rindo here as she goes for a target on a Gigalith. But yeah. Game 2, I can't let Trick Room go up the way I did in this one. That was just really careless on my end. So if I lead the same thing, I would just Dynamax Noivern. Although she might, like, play one step ahead of me and just be like, hey, you're going to Dynamax Noivern this time, so I'm going to fake out the Noivern. So I don't feel like I actually have a super safe play to deny the Trick Room, which is scary. And Gigalith actually survives both Wood Hammers, which is impressive. So, yeah. Great game plan here on her end, because the thing is, what's really interesting is that, like, Gigalith is so slow, so my Gigalith actually thrives relatively well under Trick Room, but her Gastrodon's a really big threat. So I think if she didn't hard switch Gastrodon, it would have been tough, because then it's like you have to sack the Mimikyu and then you waste multiple turns of your Trick Room. So I can definitely get the idea of switching in Gastrodon. I think she played that really well, honestly. I just got lucky. So, you know, you have to use the tools that are handed to you to win, but like I said, I need better execution to deny Trick Room, because if Trick Room doesn't go up, I think we very cleanly just sweep through the team. Oh, you know what could be a really interesting option? I could actually lead the Decidueye and Dynamax. And I do want to quickly calc how much that does into Mimikyu, because I've got max attack Poltergeist. Because if that KOs, then we should just lead... Wait, this completely destroys Mimikyu, it looks like. Yeah. Okay, well, then I think the play maybe is to lead Decidueye and Excadrill, because then you can't fake out either Pokemon. We can double up onto the Mimikyu for a KO. I think Chandelure here is likely to be sashed. So, Decidueye and Excadrill. Because Decidueye also gives me a better matchup against the Gastrodon that's going to be waiting for us in the back. And then I'm going to go Gigalith and Primarina, I think. Yeah, Whimsicott doesn't seem that great here. That's why she has the Mentor as well. The Togedemaru Mimikyu is to definitely prepare for Whimsicott, which I think is smart. So I don't think I can really get away with leading Whimsicott. I don't really think it offers us very much here as well. I feel like this lead covers everything. What am I worried about? Chandelure and Torkoal? If you lead either, I can just hard switch Decidueye into Gigalith and Quake and then get the Spadef boost with the Salt Vest. I feel like that's really solid here. So, yeah. I think you can see she definitely has a good game plan, though. So the reason why I don't want to just lead the same thing is because she could, like, one-up me and just fake out the Excadrill this time instead of the Noivern. And if she predicts me to Dynamax the Noivern. And if I do that, then Trick Room still goes up. Whereas with this lead, because we know that it's not sashed, because we know the Mimikyu isn't sashed or Ghost Resist, we can double up for a free knockout. I was so close to running Mold Breaker this week too to deal with Mimikyu, but I didn't feel good enough about that. Because I feel like just being able to guarantee outspeed our team with AV Excadrill is so good. Yeah, so she leads the same thing, which is what we want to see. So I think this is definitely going to be a double up turn 1 onto the Mimikyu. My only fear here is like a Nuzzle. Yeah, we could miss Poltergeist as well, which is part of the scary thing. So 90% chance here. I should go for a special defense boost here for the Gastro on the back. Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna Quake. The good thing about having Shadow Sneaky is that I can also just double up onto Togedemaru, but I'm happy because Decidueye makes its first appearance of the season. You know, this was a weird matchup to bring it into because there were a lot of Pokemon that Decidueye doesn't really match up super well into, namely Torkoal. Like, Torkoal's just pretty tanky. I was thinking about running special Decidueye specifically to deal with Torkoal, but it doesn't need, like, Shadow Ball is like a 2-hit KO at best, and Torkoal can just dunk on us. And I didn't really know what item to run, so I was like, let me just put the Aqua Berry on it. I guess one interesting play she could make here is just to attack with the Mimikyu. Oh, I didn't need a Poltergeist. I could have just Shadow Snuck and Iron-Headed. That would have been better. Yeah, that would have been a guaranteed KO. I don't even have to risk a miss there, so... I totally forgot I had Shadow Sneak until I was thinking about Decidueye. So, that would have been a 100% safe game plan, so by making a suboptimal play, I might get punished by RNG. And I deserve to, honestly. Magnet Rise. Oh, interesting. That's super cool. Okay. That's a really smart option. She opts not to fake out, as you can see there. I mean, we've seen Magnet Rise, Zingzap, Togedemaru. I don't think Togedemaru is really the threat here, to be honest. And, like, the more Spadef boost Decidueye gets, the stronger it gets. But it's kind of inexcusable to not Shadow Sneak. I mean, I guess what this play covers for is a potential switch-in. But, yeah, this wasn't really smart. But we managed to connect. So, the thing about, like, competitive Pokemon is you always have to find, like, your best plays. Was this play good? Sure, but is there a better play? Yeah. Like, Shadow Sneak, Steel Spike... I mean, the one thing that's kind of bad there is if you switch into a Torkoal, I guess, which could be the case, but if she switches in Torkoal, you don't really put on any offensive pressure going into turn 2, right? So, like, even forcing a switch out there is valuable for us. So while our play covers for switch outs and does more damage, the risk of Trick Room going up, like, we don't want Trick Room to ever go up there. Because it's just super, super bad for us. I mean, it's not awful. Like, we managed to win that last one, but even with Trick Room up, and I think, like, Gigalith and Primarina actually match up pretty well against her, even if Trick Room go up, because they do a lot of damage. But that being said, you know, like, last game would have been a lot closer if I didn't get that crit onto Gastrodon. So, you don't want to be in a position where I have to... Like, that last game, it was just pretty scary, honestly. Okay, so it's Torkoal, which is fine. We already have a special defense boost. We know it's Air Balloon, so that's pretty interesting, because, like, she could protect Torkoal here. Now, I've got the Shadow Sneak, so I could just double up on Torkoal with the Shadow Sneak and a Quake. I might waste a max turn here, because she might just protect Torkoal, which would be a problem. But I feel like that's fine. Like, even if you max or protect Torkoal this turn, I don't get anything off. Togedemaru doesn't do much to me the subsequent turn, and then I can just double up onto Torkoal again the next turn. Magnet Rise is a cool tech, though. I really thought the Air Balloon would be on Togedemaru this week, but yeah. There's bound to be one on her team, and Torkoal makes a lot of sense as well. Because if she didn't have it on Torkoal here, I could just Poltergeist Togedemaru, attack the Torkoal really safely. Here, I feel forced to double up. And because I don't have a way to really hit... Okay, she doesn't protect, though, which is great. So, Decidueye was actually super nice for us this game. Air Balloon is popped. Reversal? Huh. Interesting. So, Reversal, Magnet Rise, Zingzap. And that's a KO. Okay, nice. Honestly, I'm just double checking what Reversal even does. I have not seen that move. I know we have Reversal, the Pokemon Go player, in this draft league. Yeah, it's based off your HP. So that's actually really cool. Her tech against Excadrill was basically like you survive a Quake or a ground type attack, and then you get a Reversal off, which is really neat. But because I know you have Reversal, I'm just going to attack around the Togedemaru, honestly. Okay, Gastrodon is out. Gastro probably protects here, but I don't think Togedemaru is putting on any pressure against me right now. So I'm just going to double up onto the Gastro slot. Yeah, kind of sloppy play from me on turn 1 in both games. Other than turn 1, I'm pretty happy about all the other moves I made, but turn 1 is so instrumental in Draft League especially that I'm not exactly a big fan. Game 1, I just didn't even really consider the fake out option, which is so silly, but just because I watched a bunch of her videos in preparation, and like she often Dynamaxed the Togedemaru, so I was like, I wonder if she just Dynamaxed, but it doesn't make any sense in this matchup, right? Because we even knew the item. It's not like it was a Shuka or an Air Balloon, so why in the world would you ever Dynamax there? So I just wasn't like fully thinking on that turn 1. Yeah, so I'm not going to target the Togedemaru because I know it has reversal, so all we have to do is just target around it. If she's not Rindo here, we're just going to pick up the knockout. Even with Rindo, we do a ton, and we're at +3 Spadef right now. It's really solid damage on the Castro as well. So, honestly, I was not planning on Decidueye to be that impactful, but it was kind of a game time decision, and she's not Rindo. Wow, what's the item then? Huh. Yeah. So Decidueye was fantastic for us here. I thought she'd be Rindo to cover for, like, the Primarina that we had in the back, as well as Decidueye. So, yeah, good job, Decidueye. You make your first appearance, and you do us well, so I'm proud of you. Let's see. Magnarize is 5 turns. So, I mean, we can just Shadow Sneak here and Iron Head into Poltergeist. Yeah. I mean, it's pretty much over. There's no way Togedemaru can 1v4 at this spot. This game was just finding a lead and putting on full pressure damage-wise. Like, that's what I wanted to do in game 1, and I didn't, like, think about the option of Trick Room enough, which I should have. And that's totally my bad. It's a really interesting Togedemaru set, though, honestly. Zing Zap onto Decidueye. Take that. So it's what? Fake Out, Zing Zap, Reversal, and Magnet Rise. That's the full move set. That's pretty cool. Yeah. I mean, Gigalith and Primarina. You can just Poltergeist here. And Iron Head. Like, you can't even reverse. Like, the Togedemaru is completely walled here by Decidueye. I wonder if this reversal KOs us. It does not. But honestly, that was a really creative set to deal with Excadrill. Like, I really like the idea there. I wanted to give Decidueye the KO because it's his first time making an appearance in the league. Poltergeist comes out. I forgot that we'd activate the berry there. But I think Sneak KOs here anyway. Yeah, good prep by Zoe. You know, even though RNG is a part of Pokemon, like, I always prefer for it to, you know, have clean games, and I think she had a really smart game plan in game 1. I felt pretty confident about this matchup after game 1, though, because I feel like if she doesn't get Trick Room up, it's really, really hard for her to win, because Excadrill just does so much damage with the Solvest. It's very, very difficult to break through, but I think, you know, good execution in that first game, and you could see how the sets were designed, right? Mentor Mimikyu there is designed to beat the Taunt Whimsicott. Togedemaru Mimikyu completely shuts down Whimsicott, so the idea was, you know, shut me down early on and then try to sweep with Trick Room, which makes a lot of sense. I think Gigalith helped out a lot in this matchup to deal with the anti-Trick Room stuff. I ended up having Policy. I don't know. I think Policy is still a decent call over Iron Ball. Because, like, in that first game, you know, knowing that we outspeed Torkoal after Trick Room is over is actually really good insurance. But I could have gone either way, I guess. I'm trying to think what else we could have done better. I think in both games it's just turn 1. In game 2, like, our turn 1 was fine, but we had an even better turn 1, and, like, you should always, like, you can get punished for suboptimal plays, either by RNG or by your opponent outplaying you. And if I miss there and Trick Room goes up, we're kind of in an awkward spot. So, yeah, in game 1, my play would have been to Dynamax Noivern, attack with Excadrill, because with Phantasm I get the defense drop on Mimikyu, so Iron Head's a definite KO onto it, because we know it's not Babiri, and then in game 2 would have been to just Shadow Sneak and Steel Spike instead. So, yeah. Otherwise, I think I wouldn't have really changed very much else. Pokemon we brought were fine, but, yeah, I think there was clearly a better turn in both games there, where I kind of tunneled, because my game plan going into this was, I'm just going to U-turn and then just get Gigalith out, and then Excadrill sweeps the entire team, so need to make sure I don't do that as much. But good game to Zoe. Check her out. Once again, she is linked in the description below. Thanks as always for supporting the Melbourne Rotoms. We are now 8-1, so yeah, still first, I believe, but in the regular season, but, you know, anything can change next week. I think there's still probably, like, 3 teams that can surpass us, so we'll have to win next week 2-0 to guarantee being first seed go into the playoffs. But thanks as always for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time. All right, peace. If you've made it this far, obviously you know that we ended up winning the week 2-0, so this is just a filler battle so that people are not spoiled on the results of the battle as they are watching. Thank you for tuning into the WBE this week, and feel free to stick around if you're interested in the casual battle. I have no idea what kind of team we're going up against, but of course we'll be using the team that we brought this week. And that's a very competitive team actually, so it's pretty scary to see. Overall, I'm really happy about the team that I brought this week. I was not happy about my turn 1 play in either game, because I feel like if I call turn 1... Well, I mean, game 2 was fine. It was just slightly riskier. Like, I had a 100% play as opposed to a 90% play, but game 1, I let Trick Room go up for free, and that was my bad. That being said, in game 1, like, if in the off chance she did go for Fake Out onto Extra and I maxed Noivern, we actually probably just lose, like, immediately. So, I guess it wasn't awful. It's just that, like, what I expected her to do, you know, she ended up going for. I should have just anticipated Trick Room better. So, my opponent obviously has a Trick Room team here. The Chansey really scares me. That's maybe the most terrifying thing. Unfortunately, we're not min-speed Gigalith, which maybe works against us here. Huh, so what do I max here? I don't have Taunt. How do I deny Trick Room? I can't really if you lead Liepard Hat, because you can just go for the max guard plays. But my opponent also might just lead Amoonguss and Hat. This actually feels like a really good Decidueye game. So I like leading Decidueye, because I can just Phantasm into Hat. Maybe we even max Decidueye, yeah. Decidueye, Amoonguss is a big problem. That's the issue here. I could go Decidueye, Excadrill, Primarina, and Gigalith? This one's tough. I don't have Taunt, so I can't really bring Whimsicott. Noivern would be good against the Amoonguss, but without having Protect on it, it's not a great matchup for it. So we'll see how this fares. If I had min-speed Gigalith, I'd feel a little bit better, but yeah, obviously this week I actually wanted to ensure that I outsped the opposing Torkoal, so it's not really close to min-speed. This is actually the lead I was anticipating, so it's not bad for us, because I can just deny Hatterene turn 1. The question is whether I even bother maxing, because I can kind of just go for a Poltergeist here and a Rock Slide. Oh, I don't have Rock Slide. Oh, that's a grief. We could just EQ, though. Actually, it's even more consistent than Rock Slide. Sure. I mean, Amoonguss, maybe you Protect Hat. Oh, okay, it switches out. What's coming in here? Oh. Well, that's not a great Pokemon to see. However, I'm glad I didn't just whiff a Poltergeist there outright. Okay, yeah, we get Spored. It's not terrible. I mean, here's the thing. Like, I can just go Phantasm into Amoonguss right now. Actually, I'd rather Poltergeist, to be honest, because I don't want to waste any max turns, and I can just burn a turn right now with Excadrill. This is a cool switch-in. There aren't that many viable normal types, and so, like, that's why Ghost has been so good throughout the course of this format in either Dragapult and, you know, now Decidueye in Series 6. If I just, like, call that and, like, targeted Amoonguss, we'd be in such good shape. Like, if I EQ and max Phantasm into Amoonguss. Honestly, I think that was a relatively easy play to make as well, because Amoonguss knows it can't redirect any attacks from the Decidueye. I know Excadrill often has spread attacks, so yeah, I feel like I should have gambled a little bit turn 1, but at least the play I make ensures that Trick Room doesn't go up, so it's a safe play. Excadrill being put to sleep here isn't that much of a concern. Chansey starts getting scary once it gets minimizes off, but the thing is, it's already taken a fair amount of damage. If I max this Decidueye, I can Phantasm to get defense drops onto the Chansey. And Gigalith comes out, which I don't mind very much. So this is interesting. They really don't have much for Decidueye. They don't get Trick Room up this game, which is good too. It's just, what does Chansey do? You would think it's just going to want to go for, like, okay, one thing I have to worry about is ally switches. Okay, so we confirm weakness policy. That's not shocking to see, but good to know. How much does that do? It's really good damage, actually. Attract! Okay. I was thinking Thunder Wave or something, but that's an option as well. Very cool. I have to check the genders of all the Pokemon I brought. Excadrill's female. Got my own Gigalith. I feel like you go for a Rock-type attack into Decidueye right now. So I kind of want to switch out into my own Gigalith. I don't want to max yet either. So I'm kind of content just going for a high horsepower on a Chansey. I don't want to activate a policy on Gigalith, and I actually think Dynamax Decidueye sweeps this after I chip away at Chansey. Because, it depends on if you have Sludge Bomb on the Amoonguss. Yeah, if there weren't an Attract, I would have just maxed the Decidueye here and probably just go for Overgrowth. But now I'm kind of glad I didn't max the Decidueye, because if we just, like, eat up multiple turns of Attract, that's pretty bad. Okay, we take a second turn of sleep. Minimize starts coming out now. Oh, boy. The thing is that we have a pretty easy answer against Chansey in the late game. Just go for Rock Slide. What are you maxing, then? If you're going for this play, it means your plan is to max the Hatterene. Which I guess I'm okay with. I'm just going to go for my own Rock Slide here. Yeah, you can't really KO either of my Pokemon. I want to target Chansey before it gets too many boosts off, so I'm going to High Horsepower here. Like, it has to go for a... I mean, maybe I double miss here, but I feel like the odds of one of the attacks connecting are decent. Excadrill wakes up, High Horsepower is going to miss, okay. Chansey attracts, but yeah, it does not work here. We missed both attacks. Feels like a road to rank yesterday. And Gigalith goes for Body Press on Excadrill. Does that one-shot us? It does not. Okay. Yeah, I mean, not ideal that we miss both attacks into Chansey. I actually could Dynamax here just to ensure that... Nah, I mean, maybe it goes for a healing attack right now. Like, I'd rather Dynamax Decidueye, I think, and Overgrowth it. So, I'm just going to Rock Slide here and go for a... Ooh, I could EQ to activate my own policy, actually. And KO the opposing Gigalith. Yeah, I like that. I mean, Gigalith might protect here, but the thing is, I actually... Okay, nice. And it hits Chansey, too. That's huge. Okay, we survive. Brilliant. And now the thing is, if I connect this, I can just use Explosion and pick up a double KO next turn. Which would be sick. That would be really cool. Alright, they go for Soft Boiled. That's fine, though. We've already seen Soft Boiled, Minimize, and Attract, so that's 3 moves. A single target Rock Slide here might just KO, actually. But we'll see if it connects. Nice. Both of our attacks connect. I really wanted it to connect because now I can just use Explosion. Chansey actually hangs on, but Sandstorm will take it out. Chansey's not nearly as bad if it doesn't have a Shuckle next to it. And, you know, make it, like, super defensive. So now I can actually go for the Explosion play, which I'm excited about. The only question is... Because my opponent might double protect here, and then I would just lose both Pokemon. I don't think they see the Explosion coming, though, so I am just going to Iron Head Amoonguss and Explode, and then with Decidueye in the back, Decidueye should be able to play this endgame pretty well. So the main thing we needed to do in this game was deny Trick Room, and that's why I led the way I did. Decidueye is a really nice answer against Trick Room, a lot of Trick Room answers, in Series 6, actually, because of its ability to ignore the redirection that often comes out from Amoonguss. And Indeedee is no longer in the format. You know, Indeedee was previously used as a redirection user on Trick Room teams. So I think Explosion might just pick up a double KO here. We've speed crapped the Gigalith a little bit, so I think it actually should outspeed the Hatterene as well as the Amoonguss, assuming they're min-speed. Even if my opponent double protects, though, I get a free switch into Decidueye, and I can just go Phantasm into Hatterene and Hyper Voice. And Amoonguss shouldn't be able to do very much damage. Now, granted, it can have a Sludge Bomb or Energy Ball into the Primarina, into the Decidueye and Primarina respectively, but I don't think it's that much of a concern. The main thing that was good in this game is that we didn't get too many misses, but it felt like it was balanced, right? I double miss and then double hit, so, yeah. And the thing is that, like, as long as we keep chipping away at Chansey, then all we have to do is conserve one turn of a max move for it, so what I could do is, like, Phantasm twice into Chansey's... I guess that the only scary thing about Phantasming when Chansey's out is that Chansey could have Ally Switch. Okay, no Protect. Get the Iron Head off. And Explosion. Nice. If I exploded into the Hatterene, that would have definitely just been GG, but, I mean, that's almost a KO by itself. Nice. And that's why I wanted to run Weakness Policy Explosion this week. We didn't end up getting to use it, but it would have been pretty helpful against the Gastrodon if we went up against that. So, it's 3 KOs on 1 turn, and Hat ends up wasting a turn by going for Smite, so now I can just bring in Decidueye. We can just Shadow Sneak for a KO. So, nice. Main thing in this game was denying Trick Room, but the thing is, with the way I led, what would have been a problem? You could just go Liepard Hat, I guess, but if you go Liepard Hat, what I can do is just max Excadrill and Quake to get a Spadef boost immediately. Maybe, I don't know if I would do that. Curious if Shadow Sneak KOs here. Let's find out. But yeah, deny Trick Room and then go from there. If they went Liepard Hat against my specific lead and you max guard Trick Room, would I try to KO turn 1? Would I try to max turn 1? I think what I would do is max Quake the Liepard, not target the Hatterene, and then the next turn the Quake should put the Liepard in Shadow Sneak KO range. So then with the Spadef boost, I can Shadow Sneak into the Liepard, assuming it's Focus Sash, and then Steel Spike into Hatterene. Steel Spike alone I don't think KOs, but then a Shadow Sneak afterwards from the Decidueye should pick up the knockout. And then we'd still have Gigalith and Primgarina in the back as well. So yeah, ultimately Chansey just, you know, wasn't able to like do too much, which was the main thing in this matchup. And that's why Decidueye is so good, right? Even in Series 6, outside of WBE, able to ignore Amoonguss's Rage Powders and strong Ghost type attacks are just really, really valuable in this format, especially because combo, if you're already a physical attacker and you have Phantasm defense drops, like it just compounds the damage further and further in subsequent turns. So yeah, that is going to be it for WBE Week 9. Thank you so much as always for tuning in. Don't forget to check out Zoe. Her channel is linked in the description below. And yeah, looking forward to closing out the regular season next week and then going into playoffs. So yeah, thanks as always for watching, guys, and I'll see you soon. All right, peace.